finally got around to doing what will probably be our final discussion of this little lesson for Cumberland Gap. And I know that we're eager to move on to that White House Blues that I posted. I got a little mixed up there. But anyhow, I'm going to do we'll do close-ups and a discussion for that White House Blues song next. But for now, I'm going to wrap up this Cumberland Gap with a discussion. So how do we do it? Where I'm at, the tuning that we're in, relative, is fDGCD. That's the basic relative tuning. So if you guys want to play this in standard pitch, go to fDGCD. I'm actually tuned a little bit lower than that, 2 frets lower, and basically where my G's are F's. My actual tuning is D, B, E, A, D. D, B, E, A, D. So if you want to tune to my actual pitch, that's where I'm at for this. But the basic relative tuning is fDGCD. So it's basically you get to G modal tuning, you guys know that, and run your 5th string down to where it sounds the same note as your 1st string noted at the 3rd fret. Then you'll be in fDGCD. And then the way you play this song and a lot of other songs, so this will be handy to know and for the future, is out of what they call an F shape, a little F chord up here. And there's another chord, I don't even know what it is, but so you basically take your ring finger and you note the 1st string at the 3rd fret. Then I take my middle finger and I note the bass string at the 3rd fret. And my index finger is going to come down and note the 3rd string at the 2nd fret. And that's your basic chord that Cumberland Gap is played out of when I play it this way. And then the other thing that you will switch to in this and a lot of other songs is take your index and your middle finger and just move them down 1 space over. So my index is now noting the 2nd string at the 2nd fret and the 3rd string at the 3rd. And that's another chord. Somebody tell me what that is. I don't know what that is. So this is the F. You go back and forth for a lot of these songs. I'll play Jesse James out of this. I'll play I Saw a Man at the Close of Day. A lot of nice songs. Anyhow, Cumberland Gap. So you can start off either on the bass string with a hammer on the bass string at the 3rd fret. Cumberland Gap. Or you can start off by hammering on at your index finger at the 2nd fret. Cumberland Gap, Cumberland Gap, Cumberland Gap, Cumberland Gap, Cumberland Gap. See what I did there? So I'll start off on either one of those depending on however I feel like doing it. I like to start off on the middle string usually. And you'll see I'm switching my whole chord shape there to get more of a fuller chordy sound. That's, I would consider that a little less old-timey. The more old-timey way to do it is to, press, I usually think, fewer fingers on the fingerboard at a time. So for this song, you might even just move your index finger. See, it sounds a little more hollow and archaic that way than when you hold the full chord. And you guys can see the difference there. It's very subtle, but I'm just showing you a couple of different ways to approach this. And I will employ maybe all of these in one version of the song, one performance, let's say. But that's pretty much the A part to it. Cumberland Gap, walking down to the Cumberland Cumberland Gap. And then the little second part to that, the little high part, it's the same chord, but you start from the first string. Instead of starting from the third or the bass string, you're starting high from the first string with a pull off. So your ring finger is pulling off the first string at the third fret to start that off. So I'm doing a pull off on the first string, then I'm hitting the second string open, and then a pull off on the third string, and then the bass string at the third fret. So that's the little high part. Sounds a little more Irishy when you do it that way. But that's the basic part of that. And then the neat interlude that we looked at, we did a close-up of that for y'all. There's a lot of different approaches that you can take down there with that. I used to keep it up here, and I never liked to go down there when I was younger, so my third part to this, let's see if I can even do it. I used to do that as my little high part. So you can do something like that if you don't feel comfortable going up here yet. Work out another different high part up here like I did there, something like that. But if you do feel like going up here, the way I do it is I take my middle finger on the second string and I slide down to the 5th fret. And usually I like to do short slides, just over 1 fret on a fretted banjo and really emphasize it. I think it sounds better that way. I've discussed in earlier videos on fretless banjo, I would slide all the way up and emphasize that long, slow slide. But on a fretted banjo, I do this. And then immediately go into, you just have to work it up yourself, but a little picking pattern, a little drop thumb picking pattern down here that emphasizes it. And you can see I'm maybe doing a little bit of a syncopated lick there where I'm emphasizing this 5th string. Sounds pretty neat. Sounds kind of lonesome and really old to me. Anyhow, I think that's a basic quick rundown, and you guys probably already had it, and I didn't hear a lot of cries from y'all about people wanting a discussion on it, but I wanted to do it anyhow. So let's respond to this if you guys are interested in talking about it anymore. If I missed anything, if you still want me to show you something else on that, let's go. We could even talk about it in different tunings. I could play it at a standard G tuning, and then there's another tuning out there that I don't use very often for Cumberland Gap that they call Cumberland Gap tuning usually. We could retune to that, and we could work out a way to play it out of that. Yeah, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all later.